Hi everyone, welcome back to the AI language. Today we are starting with our course on n8n, and in this lecture I'll give you a clear practical overview of what n8n is and what can you accomplish with it. So you can access n8n on their website, which is n8n.io. So n8n is essentially a workflow automation tool, all right? And for this we need to understand what is a workflow and how do we automate it using n8n. So you can go down over here and there's an example of a workflow that they provide over here. So now what you see on your screen is an example of a workflow that has been automated using n8n. So you can see the different elements that are involved in this workflow, and these are called as nodes. Now these are connected meaningfully together, and this helps you automate the entire workflow. Now, how does this work? Now, first of all, we have something called a trigger node over here, and this is what is going to start your workflow. All right, it's going to trigger your workflow, and this can be based on some condition. So over here, the condition is that whenever a create user form is submitted, maybe through some web interface, this workflow will get triggered, and the data that is received from that form is then passed along through these arrows through different nodes in this workflow. And finally, the workflow is completed. Each node is going to modify or do something with the data or take some action and help you achieve all the steps you want in your workflow. The best part is that each of these nodes is visible in front of your eyes and connected in a meaningful way. So it makes it easy for you to understand how this connects together, how this works, and how you can actually make changes or improve your workflow if you need to. Now, once the trigger node receives the create user form submission data, it's going to pass it to an AI agent. So this is our next node, and this AI agent is using a chat model. It's using some memory to track user conversations or to store data. It's also using some tools like Microsoft Entra ID and Jira software. So the agent can use all these tools. It can use the chat model and the memory to process that data in some way, and then finally pass it on to this decision making node. Over here, the node would check for whatever decision you want to make. So over here, it's checking whether the user that's been created, whether the form that has been submitted is for a user whose role is a manager or not. And if this is true, you can take some action based on that knowledge that the create user was for a manager. If this is false, you can take an action based on the knowledge that it was not a manager. So in case someone was a manager, you can add them to a channel meant for managers. And if they were not a manager, you can actually just update their profile for that particular user. So you can use external apps over here to do that. And this is how you can build your workflow visually in a nice way and trigger it automatically based on this trigger node and complete it as and when this trigger happens. So this is what workflow automation means and how you achieve this with n8n. Now, one of the key features over here is that it offers you a visual workflow editor, which is a drag and drop interface to easily build your workflows and understand how all this is connected and then make changes. So you don't need to write a lot of code for this. You can simply arrange these nodes, connect them together to achieve your workflow and automate it. Now, we did mention that there's a trigger node and there's an action node over here, but you can have different kinds of nodes. So you can see that, we can trigger something over here, which is a trigger node. You can take some action. You can also put on some conditions and use a branch or a if statement over here. You can transform the data or you can store it and so on. So there are a lot of nodes available over here, and we'll look into the details of what kind of nodes are available in the next few lectures. But you can see that there are multiple kinds of nodes for different kinds of functionalities over here. So that's the second thing, that apart from the visual editor, you can have different types of nodes to fulfill different roles. The third aspect that's important to understand about n8n is the wide number of integrations available. So let me scroll down over here and show you that they have over 500 integrations as of now that are mentioned on their website. So what this essentially means is that in your workflow automations, you can connect these many applications together and you can take advantage of these integrations. So for example, if you needed to send a message on Slack, or if you wanted to read some kind of an email from Outlook or a calendar event from Google Calendar, you can directly integrate it with the built-in integration. Of course, you'll need to provide authentication and credentials for that integration to work. But once that is done, this is readily available without having to write a lot of code for this. So essentially, you have this visual low-code workflow automation tool where you can have different types of nodes that can help you with different kinds of automations. You can integrate different apps over here, and then you can also integrate AI or large language models as agents to work on the data that's coming in. Apart from this, in case you are limited by the kind of nodes or integrations that are provided, you can actually add code whenever you need it and use the UI when you don't. And there are different ways of doing that. So you can write JavaScript or Python, you can add libraries from npm or Python, you can paste curl requests into your workflow, and you can merge your workflow branches. So that is how you can extend the capability of the visual drag and drop editor in case you're not satisfied or in case you're not able to fulfill your workflow automation with what's available in the UI. Alright, so what does this help us do? Now there are some examples that you can see on your screen over here. So it helps you build multi-step agents calling custom tools. So we've already seen the agent and the tools arranged in the visual workflow editor earlier on. So what this can do is it can help you create agentic systems, and you can see this on a single screen, well arranged for you to understand and build it. And you can integrate any large language model into your workflows as fast as you can drag and drop onto the visual editor. So it just means that it makes it simple for you to integrate large language models into your workflows and build these multi-step agents which can call these customized tools. And we've already seen that in one of the workflow examples that we just saw before this. Then you can chat with your data. So you can use Slack, Teams, SMS, voice, or the chat interface to get answers from your data. And here are some examples, like you could ask that who had held meetings with a particular company last week, and then you will get an answer maybe based on your calendar or maybe based on some kind of scheduling app. And then you can actually create a task in Asana or some other program management tool based on that particular information. And there's a lot of flexibility in how you can host your automations. So you can self-host everything, including the AI models. This can be useful for enterprises that want to protect their data by deploying on-prem, or otherwise there are also hosted versions available. So this is a lot of flexibility in terms of how you can actually use and deploy these automations. We can also look at their GitHub over here, and there's the source code over there, and you can actually scroll down and check out the key capabilities that they mention over here, the quick start and how to use this. We'll be covering how to install n8n, the free community edition, so that you don't have to pay while you're learning, but you can see this page for more details. Here are the key capabilities that you mentioned again. So you can add code when you need it. Whenever you're limited by the UI, you can actually add your own code. It's an AI native platform, so you can build AI agent workflows based on LangChain with your own data and models. It offers you full control, so you can self-host with fair code license and or use their cloud offering. It's enterprise ready, so there are advanced permissions, single sign-on, and air-gapped deployments. And there's an active community with a 400 plus integrations and 900 plus ready-to-use templates. Alright, so I hope this gives you an understanding of what n8n is. So essentially it is a tool that can help you automate your workflows by using different kinds of nodes, by using different kinds of apps, and by integrating AI. And it offers a lot of flexibility by allowing you to add code to your workflows if you are limited by what's available in the UI. So that was a clear and practical overview of n8n, and I'll see you in the next lecture with how to set this up on your system so that you can be ready to build your workflow automations. Thanks a lot for watching.